Hey everyone, this is Chris Peplinski here to do my I guess my review of what I thought about the Oscars last night. I would say that overall was I would say better than last year after the big complaint that they made about the diversity issue. But I will say this: I think to me that's total bullshit because the way I would see it, if it doesn't matter, like say if you're white, black, Spanish, Asian. To me, I'll just say this: if the performance wasn't what I would consider Oscar worthy, race shouldn't have to play a role in that. But anyway, to talk about, I guess, the highlights of the evening, uh, I was very happy that Viola Davis finally got her Oscar win, for her role in Fences, which was a very good movie, even though it's a bit dark and depressing. Even though I will admit I was upset the last time she was nominated for The Help and lost out, to Octavia Spencer, who was also quite good, but she didn't win this time for her role in Hidden Figures. Mahershala Ali, became the first, black Muslim to win the Best Supporting Actor, and his work as Fences, even as the drug dealer Juan, even though his part was like rather small, it appears in like the first act of the movie. Oh, I forgot to mention in terms of Viola Davis, she's the first black woman to win for an Oscar, an Emmy, and a Tony, if my facts are correct. I will say, I mean, Jimmy Kimmel as a host wasn't really all that great. I mean, he was okay, but he was a little bland. Not as good as like previous hosts, like say Billy Crystal, Whoopi Goldberg, and Ellen DeGeneres, who were one of my favorite hosts that that did the show. I would say the biggest upset, in my personal opinion, was Casey Affleck, beating out Denzel Washington for the Best Actor category. Since when I was watching that God Dreadful Manchester by the Sea, it was almost like he was, sleepwalking, you know, and throughout the movie, putting in what I call a lazy performance, and I think he won it just because he was Ben Affleck's brother. Even though Casey Affleck in his own right is a good actor, but I think Denzel should have gotten it since his performance was much more powerful. And his last Oscar win was like over 15 years ago in the movie Training Day, which was also a very good movie when he played that, corrupt cop Alonso. Um, in terms of the best, actress category, I mean that was actually a tricky one, but in a way I was kind of happy that Emma Stone won it since she deserved it. Since quite realistically, I don't think there was really anyone in that category that was a strong contender, but to each their own. I would say the biggest upset in terms for me also was the best picture winner, since I personally think Hidden Figures should have won that because to me it was a very strong movie. Showing how three black scientists in NASA was dealing with issues during like the civil rights movement and racism against their white colleagues. Showed how despite the adversity they were still able to make, I guess, a name for themselves and be successful in their own rights. And even though Moonlight is a decent movie, but to me, in my personal opinion, there was nothing about it that would say Oscar worthy for Best Picture. Since I mean the first two acts of the movie are like very good, but then by the time the third part comes around, it's like it kind of falls apart. And to me, there was like nothing really about it that was special. Since if to me it felt more like a love story, but to me that's all it was. But for those that see this, I guess they have their own opinion. Even though it was kind of interesting how they thought La La Land, won the Best Picture because of Emma Stone winning the Best Actress category. And when it comes to La La Land, even though the movie itself is like not terrible, not great, since quite honestly I'm not the biggest fan of musical movies, since a lot of the times they seem to be all about singing and dancing and things like that, and not a lot of story behind it most of the time. But I would say it's definitely something worth checking out. And one of the good things that, about La La Land, that Damien Chazelle was the youngest director in history to win the best, director at age 32, which I would say is, rather impressive, considering this was only his third, feature film, which is, something to be quite proud of. So I would like to hear other people's thoughts and opinions about, the Oscar nominations for this year, and hopefully 2018 they'll have, even better nominees for, for actors, whether it's in the supporting category, the best category, and hopefully, there'll finally be a movie, that actually deserves the best picture, title, but we'll see. All right, thank you again.